Alright everyone, what's up? And you are watching What's Up Ryan. In this episode, we are going to be covering a few things, right? I think hype is clearly back in the markets right now. So we're just waiting for the stream to start populating. The markets have been pretty buoyant of late. Bitcoin is clearly wanting to stay above $5,000. I think that's a very, very good sign. And of course, crypto analysts are definitely more bullish right now. Especially the ones who were a little bit more skeptical are also turning bullish. Especially Willy Woo of late. I think he believes that the bottom was already in, and in terms of Willy Woo, he already created this. He's basically a crypto analyst, right? Or Bitcoin analyst. So he created this whole site to focus on the transactions that are being done on Bitcoin, and right now he believes that it's already turning to the upside. Sure, there should be some short-term volatility, but at the end of the day, it should mean that the markets are ready for the new push up. Will we see 6,000 very soon? It looks that way, right? Bitcoin is clearly trending upwards. Altcoins are actually sustaining their new levels, and I think even some altcoins are already at the all-time high, if not surpassed it. So we're going to be covering all those things as well, and of course, should you start looking at hype-related coins? So guys, I must apologize that I haven't been streaming as often as I would like. The schedule is not easy to fix, especially when right now the kid is still growing up. The timing is always changing. The bottle feeding is always very random. So we're trying to kind of nail it down and put down a decent time. I'm really trying to do around anywhere from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, but like I said, I always prefer live stream. That way, if there's anyone who comes on the stream and if they have questions, at least I can answer them. And I prefer long form content rather than short form content, because I feel that there's still so much in this space that everybody wants to learn, and at the same time I take the opportunity to learn together with you guys as well, because information is always very free flowing in this space. Obviously, if there is something that I've done before or I've invested in it before, definitely I am very interested. So let me see now. Okay, so anyway, in today's episode, I'm going to be covering the overall markets first, and then after that going into the three coins that I mentioned, which is IrisNet, Cosmos Network, and of course talking a little bit about the Binance Mainnet, right? I think every exchange right now is working on having their own chain now, or at least they are planning to do an IEO or potentially ambitiously having their own chain. So what does this all mean for people who are investing, developing? Now, developing is always another whole new ball game, right? And I think we leave that to those who know how to code. And for me as an investor, what am I looking for when I look at all these projects, right? So we're gonna sum that up. But before that, let's go into CoinMarketCap to check out the overall price movements, and at the same time, so far, what's the 24-hour volume been like, and what's the BTC dominance. So right now we are having the market cap at 180 billion, which is 20 billion shy from the so-called resistance that I anticipated, which is 200 billion. Because whenever it reaches a new round number, especially a significant round number, 200, 300, 400, usually there will be some form of selling down. And take note that the market cap can actually come it's basically the whole value of the crypto market at the moment. So right now, if you look at the 24-hour volume, it is at 45 billion, and the BTC dominance has already started to climb back because a lot of traders has actually left their altcoins and started to pile into Bitcoin, right? It's like you want to try to make money in altcoins, And when Bitcoin starts beasting upwards, what happens is that all your altcoins tend to suffer. Okay, it's just very common practice, and people tend to also have this FOMO that they are worried that Bitcoin starts beasting, and then all their Satoshi gains will be obliterated, which is true. There's no avoiding that particular fact, because if you are going to be trading altcoins, right, and Bitcoin starts going up or inching upwards, there's that multiplier effect where your altcoins will usually suffer on the downside. There are, of course, certain cryptocurrencies, especially if they are having some kind of mainnet launch, or they're having some kind of major listing that's up and coming. They tend to fare pretty well, even though Bitcoin is moving upwards. So those are very, very rare instances, and people try to catch the trend and try to be ahead of the curve and try to spot these cryptocurrencies. But I usually don't care too much about it, because at the end of the day, we're here for the macro trend, which will play out anywhere from 5 to 10 years from now, and not anything that is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even days to months. We're looking at the macro trend, because if you want to make life-changing income or life-changing money, obviously you have to look at what's going to be built and anticipate where it's going to be in the years to come, because everything right now is all just hype, right? And that's the thing why I want to really focus I want to focus a lot about hype in this episode. But let's go to the factual stuff first. So Bitcoin is across the average price is about 5,004, looking pretty good. No, I mean, chart wise I don't really have to care too much, because everybody is already doing technical analysis. You can out of 9 out of 10 channels, everybody's focusing on technical analysis. There are very, very few channels that are focused on the technical aspects, or at least the fundamental aspects of the space. So I'm not going to be covering that from a chart wise. It doesn't make any sense. Ethereum is already not having as much price movement of late, because there are a lot of other chains, especially the exchanges, that are taking the lead, right? Because previously Ethereum, Ethereum has always been a decentralized application platform. That's the main purpose of Ethereum, right? And of course, they created the DAO at the very beginning, where everyone could come together and put their money in, and start potentially voting or investing in various decentralized applications or projects. Unfortunately, that got hacked. So then the whole ICO space erupted. And that was when Ethereum started to push up very aggressively in price, because everyone was creating wanting to raise money through ICO with Ethereum. But right now, the reason why Ethereum is no longer the top kahuna, even though it's still number 2, it doesn't attract as much attention price-wise, because there are so many other alternatives that are available. So these days, even the exchanges are kind of saturating the market, which kind of brings me to a more real-life example. Recently, Shake Shack just came to Singapore. And prior to Shake Shack coming to Singapore, and obviously every single American knows what is Shake Shack, right? So, and Shake Shack of course has been by the way, if you don't know, is basically a burger fast food chain. It's usually very casual dining, makes very excellent burgers. And prior to Shake Shack coming to Singapore, there was actually another brand, right, that obviously took the concept, or took that business, brought it to Singapore, but named it under their own brand, right? But everything kind of was the same, and I kind of already knew that, okay? And then now, when the actual Shake Shack is here, it will obviously take away some of its thunder, or if not a majority of its thunder, because right now you're having a bigger player with definitely a deeper pocket, right? And at the same time, the brand is definitely more recognized compared to the brand that brought that concept of that burger into Singapore at that time. So right now, you're seeing this exact same thing happen in the crypto space where Ethereum was the one and only one that everyone was creating their tokens, or at least basing their tokens upon, whether is it a utility token or just building a dApp. Right now, apparently there are now many other chains. There are other chains that are also going to be functional in that sense, where it will also allow you to create decentralized applications, and there's going to be the they're planning to solve the transactions, which is faster TPS, and at the same time, hopefully they are able to really create that open source decentralized network that will allow everyone to still maintain their privacy, but at the same time be involved in helping the network stay decentralized and not have a centralized party of power, right? So hence you have all the consensus mechanisms like the DPoS and proof of staking, and so on and so forth. Okay, so right now, I think Ripple is also having competition from the JP Morgan coin. I mean that Ripple to me has always just been a functional bank coin, okay, or at least the solution behind it is supposed to be having faster TPS, as secure as possible, settlement layers, so on and so forth. Okay, Bitcoin Cash is, well, the so-called the plan to be the better version of Bitcoin. Faster transactions, lower fees, will be more widely accepted, so on and so forth, because maybe there's a proper team that is more organized going out there trying to build up the merchant network. EOS obviously is has raised a lot of money through their ICO, and they are planning to be one of the leading decentralized application platforms as well. Yeah. Then Litecoin, so on and so forth. Then you have Binance now at number 7, because there's a lot. I mean, Binance, as I mentioned, is one of those coins that actually reached the all-time high and surpassed it. And right now they are holding. They're holding pretty well above $20. Okay, but what will happen after the mainnet is completely done? Okay, that is the part that gets very interesting. I mean, Binance has done all the right moves. Okay, all the right moves. We're talking about from as a business standpoint, right? They were one of the first few that actually came into the market very aggressively and listed coins that no one else wanted to list, and that kind of created a lot of interest, right, and speculation. Obviously, right, they were just not as stringent in terms of the way they looked at coins at the time, and at the same time, CZ is very open about his movements and his thoughts about the markets, his ideologies, his perspectives, and he uses social media really well, and this is the part that kind of differentiates them, and that's why they're the number one exchange in terms of in the Western markets at the moment, because clearly they know how to capture the audience, and Binance has very little restrictions in terms of operations, right? And when they have very little restrictions, everybody tends to want to work with Binance. Obviously, they will come to a point, right? Let's be very honest, that there are certain jurisdictions and they have to be certain regulations that they have to adhere to, and obviously they do not want to be as transparent compared to the existing exchange, for example, the local exchanges that are functioning in that country. And Binance is definitely going to be very selective in who they plan to work with. So, but that being said, Binance has a full suite of products, and they only continue to expand that product suite. Okay, and when they continue to expand that product suite, naturally, plus the hype behind how they create that with the whole token sale events, right? Whether you want to call it an IEO, token sale event, whatever it is, at the end of the day, it drives a lot of interest. At the same time, there's token burns, right? Quarterly token burns together with the Binance DEX coming up. All these things are all, I mean, all of this you can actually read here, right, which is in their announcement, so you can just run through, especially if you're someone who bought Binance back in the day. I'm sure you're already 5x up, especially if you bought at the low, which was around $4.30. That was in the beginning of 2019, right? So all these things are definitely factors that are going to help push the markets upwards. So it doesn't have to be always coming from Bitcoin, but obviously Bitcoin still has the majority of the dominance in this market, which I hope to eventually see change, right? Because US dollar tether, which is number 8 by the way, has kind of been the main stable coin that everyone uses. There was a point of time that there was the US you look, there are so many stable coins, and the thing about stable coins is just to help the layman understand and how to trade a little bit easier on the P&L. Oh wow, there's 13 people, right? Okay, so what are your thoughts on Quantum? So Quantum, obviously in terms of price, right, they are a very flat coin. It doesn't move, it doesn't do anything. At the same time, right now, in terms of as an application, there's nothing wrong with Quantum. Okay, in terms of fundamentally, there's nothing wrong. It's still building, it's still doing what it needs to do, but it doesn't participate in the hype, right? To be fair, they are always actually building and creating stuff. If you check out their Twitter, they're very active. Recently, they've focused more on enterprise solutions because they know that the retail market is not where they need to be. They don't have anything in particular for the retail market. Obviously, they are always catering to developers. It's the same. A lot of the platforms, right, are actually focused on focused on developers. If the next 2 projects that I'm going to be talking about, for example, and these are all non-sponsored, by the way, I'm just looking at it from a standpoint where I'm going to tie everything together. So yeah, Quantum wise, sorry to say this, but Quantum is not the coin that will make you happy in the short term. No way. It's gonna be a slow growth. Okay, it's gonna be a slow growth. It's gonna take probably a number of years before they actually show real traction. They don't spend money on market making. This is something that we already knew a long time ago. And at the same time, personally, I don't hold any Quantum anymore. So it's more of the fact that right now I have diversified and strategically put my money into coins that I fully understand. So that's why I'm very much invested in exchange coins. Everybody knows this because exchanges generate revenue. It's easy for me to understand. If I'm someone who is technical, tech based, right? I'm someone who knows how to do development. I will focus more on the growth R&D, right? And there's no way that you can put a number to that. There's no way that you can ascertain the price. There's no statistical number to it. Although everything in blockchain or cryptocurrencies or any kind of ecosystem is always based on code, right? Everything is mathematical. You can quantify it within the network, but how do you put a price to it? How do I know how much is one user worth to me? How can I quantify the X number of transactions gives me how much revenue? It doesn't match. It's very difficult for me to understand all these things. That's why I veered away, and you notice that I don't shield coins anymore. But today I will have to talk about IrisNet and Cosmo Chain. These two are basically nothing new in terms of concept. Okay, I've heard the interblockchain play for quite some time. The interblockchain play is where assets, right, crypto assets can be transacted across different networks. Now it's either through a hub or through a zone, right? So whether is it going to be an off-chain or on-chain, that is something that I will have to read up upon. It has yet to be determined because, like I said, it's more on hype. Right now, these two coins are going to be launched simultaneously, and Binance is built on Cosmo, right? And obviously Cosmo is currently a little bit more hyped up compared to IrisNet, but both have the same. Both have the same category, which is the interchain or interblockchain, right? So these are the things, and I think Cosmos, which is Atom, was kind of featured on CNBC. Not that I care whether it's featured on CNBC, right? Because at the end of the day, like I said, how do you even validate all this? So I'm just mentioning this because I'm interested in the part where next time when companies are starting to build on different blockchains, because everybody has a choice. That's the beauty about the blockchain, and at the same time the beauty about crypto. Everybody can create their own chain to suit their needs. they can't always build on Ethereum because Ethereum may have certain restrictions. They can't always build on Quantum because Quantum has certain restrictions. And sometimes maybe in terms of wallet creation and needing to list, all these can be technical factors. Then from a developer standpoint, there can be restrictions that the developer feels very frustrated and they decide, you know what, I'm going to build my own blockchain. It seems to be the trend. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be that way. Because what happens is that there are people who after a while, I mean, if you think about it, why everybody starts their ICO with ERC20, but once they become well-funded and familiar, they decide to start and build their own blockchain. As you can see, Binance is a very good example. They are now currently having an ERC20, but once the Binance chain mainnet is up, they're going to swap their ERC20 tokens to whatever the function, whatever is the new contract, right? That new contract is whatever Binance decides to call it, right? Is the own Binance coin. So that's what's happening, right? So if Ethereum was truly that powerful and useful, I would just stay on it and I will still continue to build on Ethereum. But clearly, probably there's certain restrictions. So anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. So as an asset, right? So let's say, for example, you have assets being built on different blockchains. Eventually, they will have to come to a marketplace or a decentralized marketplace. And that is the part that interests me the most, because I was thinking to myself, if let's say there was something built on Quantum, okay? And let's say you can do asset back that was built on Quantum. This particular developer is a prominent developer that Quantum managed to convince, or at least maybe the team decided to build their asset-backed token on Quantum. Then the next thing you know, you have Binance, right? These are two different chains. Eventually, right, it can, because of these inter-blockchain solutions, they are now able to communicate. So that is the part where I feel allows and opens up a lot of access. From day one, right, we have always talked about inclusion. We've always talked about accessibility. That was the whole purpose, right? Why everyone can start with very little, why everyone can bypass the banks when they don't have the bank account. They can kind of buy from their own OTC provider, and that OTC provider will deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever digital currency into their mobile wallet, and from then they can start doing transactions. Now, from there, apart from doing transactions, there will be companies that are willing to take on certain risk, right? These are called micro lenders, right? And at the same time, you can even do pledging. You can do collateralized debt. All these things are factors that I am interested in because I'm familiar with these instruments. And people want access to either investments or financial services because these are the backbone, right? Because if I am not able to have a bank account because somehow my bank is just too far away. And yes, there are folks that have to travel miles just to bank in their money. And at the same time, sometimes banks don't even want to open bank accounts for their own citizens. There are all these situations that the blockchain solves, or at least crypto solves, or cryptocurrency. This is the part where I got interested in because I felt that everyone should have at least basic services when it comes to finances. But at the same time, it also opens up a lot of speculation, and a lot of people will start thinking, how does this whole space start to work? So I'm only interested in the fact that if Cosmo or IrisNet can kind of communicate with each other and they are able to create a ecosystem, which is what they claim in their white paper, that they want to build an ecosystem to allow every other blockchain to come and connect with them and start interacting. So this is the part where I guess I need help from people who are developers that can see whether or not this works. And the only way that can happen is when the SDK is up. And I think apparently both SDKs are going to be up either Q2 or Q3 of this year. Both IrisNet and Cosmo, right? The SDKs are going to be up only later part of this year. So there is going to be quite a bit of hype, right? Because these two fellas are going to be launched on Binance or Huobi, okay? So there's going to be quite a bit of hype there. And to me, I think, okay, the people who invested during the ICO period for these two particular cryptocurrencies will obviously benefit the most, because finally now they're going to get listed, right? And the next thing is, like I said, how valid is the movement? How valid is the movement upwards? So anyway, how about your thoughts on Digibyte? Just bought 14k. Okay, so Digibyte, yeah, you know what? King of fun. Digibyte is actually a very Digibyte, Digibyte is actually a very, very strong blockchain. Okay, apparently they're one of the oldest blockchains, and apparently they function much faster, and they have a lot of companies building on them. But as you can see, they don't participate in much market making. They don't have to. Okay, they don't have to, because genuinely, a lot of developers are already building on Digibyte. So this is something that I've heard a long time ago from an actual developer developing their solutions on Digibyte. Okay, this is not, I've never bought Digibyte before at the time, because everything was so hyped up through events and everything, that the whole space was buying up everything. But yes, Digibyte is definitely pretty legit. And this is obviously hearing from someone else who is a developer who has developed on Digibyte. Okay, so full disclaimer, I'm not invested in it. Neither do I know anything in terms of from a technical standpoint or who are the actual companies that are building. But I know that Digibyte has been around a long time and it functions pretty well. But you must ask yourself, are you here to invest, or you're here to speculate, or you're here to do trading? What are you here for? So I am still interested in the overall macro trend. Okay, macro trend to me is the most important, because right now, if I cannot figure out the macro trend, it doesn't matter how much money I make in between, because I've been getting it wrong all the way and I'm trying to get lucky. And the only way that I can protect myself is to make sure that I have proper risk management in terms of trades. If I don't have proper risk management in terms of the way I trade, I will actually suffer, because I'm getting the macro trend wrong. So right now, the macro trend to me is going to eventually be like this. Okay, this is my personal opinion. Bitcoin will definitely always still be in demand, because of the fact that the value was created by the community. Okay, there's no central bank backing it up. So naturally, Bitcoin will always be one of the essential go-to cryptocurrencies in my mind. But does it have a lot of issues when it comes to mining and scalability and having a direction? Definitely. But it's a very unique asset class, and I cannot immediately tell you, even though I've been in since 2016, it has not gone through a bear market from the financial, from as in a bear market, not our bear market, but as in what would happen if there's a global financial crisis. How does Bitcoin react as an asset class? To me, I consider it as an asset class. People who are developers will say that it's a technology. Okay, it's definitely a technology. It's a solution. So they are not involved in how it functions on a price perspective. They are only involved on how it works and how it should work and how can they improve it. For me, because I'm in it for the money, okay, I need to know whether or not fundamentally, is there enough demand? Are there enough merchants? When merchants accept it, how are they dealing with the Bitcoin? Because it's so volatile that if it goes up, everybody's happy. But if it goes down, and it can go down really quickly, how are they dealing with that volatility? It's just a very simple thing. At the same time, when I'm collecting the Bitcoin as a form of payment, how long does it take for it to be confirmed? Because if I have a long queue, right, for my product, and everyone's paying me in Bitcoin, I can't be expecting each individual to ask them to wait after processing their payment. I ask them to stand aside and wait for 15 minutes before I can get a confirmation. It doesn't make sense to me. 15 minutes to 30 minutes, okay, depending on how what's the usage of the network for that particular day. I cannot expect that, okay? So for that, there's an issue. So that's why there are a lot of alternative cryptocurrencies that are solving this problem. So you have your Ripple, you have your Ethereum that can do that. A lot, even the stable coins are considered that form of cryptocurrency at the moment, right? So, that's that. Then the next thing is the exchange coins. I have talked about exchange coins for the longest time. It is nothing new, because exchanges, right, genuinely have the user base. They have every single project, right, that wants to at least list will have to tend to form a partnership or work with them, right? And the beauty is that when they own the exchange, right, when you own an exchange, you have the power to work with whoever you want. If you wanted to build your own decentralized application, you can work with one of the projects that those individuals are the experts, right? And you could barter trade your services. I can list you for a subsidized fee, and you are able to work with me to help me out with my decentralized application, or help me build my own chain. All these things are happening, guys. If you look at the whole ecosystem, there's a lot of room for growth, and this is the part that supersedes the existing traditional exchanges. Now, traditional exchanges are definitely more strict because they don't allow that kind of level of flexibility. They have third-party companies that either they own as subsidiaries, or they work with them in terms of market making, in terms of brokering for custodial services, insurance. It's not an all-in-one. Now, obviously, an exchange shouldn't be too cocky and do everything, right? Because it becomes too overwhelming. The cost of operations becomes too high, and how big do you want your company to grow, right? So ultimately, you can actually exchanges, especially if they've been around a while, they tend to generate sustainable revenue. And when they create sustainable revenue and products, right, obviously products have to also be in demand, right? Whether is it an index fund, or whether is it derivatives, right, where it's on leverage. All these things, right, are money making. Okay, because people love to speculate in the crypto space, and at the same time, exchanges are providing the gateway. When they provide the gateway, new listings, new products, especially products on leverage. If you have asset-backed lending, you have collateralizing you're able to collateralize your assets for an amount of equity, and it provides that liquidity. All these things are going to be the macro trend, guaranteed. Okay, it's a guarantee. Whether or not it happens via a traditional exchange or the existing crypto exchanges, it doesn't matter, because that is truly the macro trend. It's not going to run away, guys. And when I see the interblockchains, right, I only care about how do tokens going forward, right? What are they backed up by? What kind of asset is the company willing to put up? Is it going to be a tangible property? Is it going to be something that is of value in the current market, like gold, for example? These are the two main things that will probably pop out first. The next thing I can foresee is equity. That means actual equity. Whether is it the in terms of a fractionalized version of US stocks, or fractionalized versions of the particular company's assets. I only see these two things happening, because that's something that will happen in the near future. Because you cannot keep expecting investors to buy your next level solution, because your next level solution is non-quantifiable. I'm sorry to say this, but you know and I know it's all growth based. There's no real revenue that can come in anytime soon. Just look at the existing models, or at least the existing IPOs. A lot of them are all growth. They're all losing money, right? They're all losing money year on year, but they are so-called having higher valuations because purely on database. How much database that I have, right? And if that is the model, and if you enjoy investing in companies, or you understand how to invest in companies that are focused purely on a growth-related model and not a revenue-related model. Now, every company needs to generate revenue. Don't get me wrong. It's just the fact that how do I quantify how do I put a value on the stock, right? There has to be a certain revenue price-earning ratio that I can put in. But for crypto, you cannot do that, at least for now. But if companies are willing to back up their tokens with assets and not just say, oh, utility, and this is how my ecosystem works, then perhaps this space starts to become much easier for real savvy investors, and that will truly attract a lot more money other than them always wanting to create a Bitcoin ETF. Perhaps next time they can create an ETF based on a particular company. And they can even put debt obligations on the market. So debt obligations are like bonds. For example, instead of needing to raise money, they can issue a bond, right? And that bond will say that XBC crypto blockchain, right? I am going to issue an XBC bond that will pay you a 12% dividend, right, to whoever is buying fractions of this bond. So it becomes like, oh, okay, there's something behind it. Okay, you cannot expect people to blindly always put money into this space, right? Which I don't believe. By the way, some of the numbers that I'm looking at, I do not believe that they're raising that kind of money because the market has already dried up. You're still having the same amounts of people who are just waiting to get out. So I clearly don't believe that these projects are really successfully raise the money that they raise. But if you were to create a bond and say that for the next 2 years, I'm willing to give you a 12% dividend on the amount, and not in your weirdo tokens, okay? Because if your tokens don't hold value on the market, your bloody dividend is useless to me, right? I give you this example. If you bought $1,000 of a particular cryptocurrency, and that particular crypto says that it will be giving you 7% of its coins, okay? But this coin keeps depreciating in value month after month by 10%. So do you think that 7% per annum in terms of coins, right? They're giving you 7% per annum worth of the coins that you own, right? But it depreciates in value on the market at 10%. It's pretty stupid, right? So that's why it doesn't work. To me, it's dumb. The only anticipation is that that coin will do very well next time, and that's how miners work as well. Because when the network becomes, when the network difficulty drops, it tends to mine that much easier. You get more coins, or you find it faster, or you create a block faster. But when the difficulty goes up, it becomes harder. It becomes harder to mine, and your likelihood or your chance to get rewarded or create a new block becomes more difficult, and obviously the price tends to go up. Okay, so this is kind of like an example of my thoughts here. It's very difficult to quantify, and the more difficult something it is to quantify, naturally the risk and reward is also available. The harder it is to make money or access a certain market, the rewards are very high, but the risk is very high also. So once everything starts to stabilize and things are a little bit easier in terms of accessing a market or getting involved in an investment, eventually your returns will also drop. Okay, this is something that will happen in time. But our market cap is still very small at only 180 billion. I really anticipate in the years to come that it will be more than $1 trillion. And once it becomes more than $1 trillion, whatever existing cryptocurrencies that you you potentially are holding could actually do very well. Okay, but it has to hit $1 trillion first, and then we'll come and talk. Because at the time when it was almost 800 billion in terms of market cap, a lot of our altcoins also enjoyed that upward movement. Now, will a lot of the altcoins still be around in the years to come? Definitely not, because people tend to lose interest in things that are not being built, or the initial team themselves realize that there's no money to be made, or they have already run out of money and they could not find additional funding to proceed in their development. Right? It's just the same thing. Business is business. So that being said, that's how it works. Right. So there are new folks here. Hello everyone. So do you like 2019 1 ounce of silver panda? Right. I have no. Are you talking about actual silver, by the way, King of Fun? Because silver to me is definitely one of those precious metals that you can own, especially if you're a millennial, right? Buying gold sometimes may not be the best thing for you, but buying silver, actual silver, could be a very good hedge against any downside risk, because it usually holds well, and gold seems to be only for those baby boomers, right? And those who can afford 1 ounce of gold. But for silver, you can do that. I think silver is holding up pretty well. I'm not entirely sure about silver because I'm personally invested in gold. So I would still prefer gold because it does hold well and in times of a recession. And I do anticipate that a recession is definitely coming up in the global financial markets at the moment. Okay, so the next question, thoughts on Fusion. I think they also deal with interoperability. Yes, JG Donny B Crypto. Let me just bring this here. So, okay, so Fusion is a project that has been around for quite a while, but personally, because I've not invested in Fusion, maybe you are someone who has a little bit more insights. So let me ask you a question, John, JG Donny B. Could you tell me, I mean, these are things that are for yourself, for your own personal understanding. Does Fusion, who's partnering up with Fusion at the moment? How's their existing progress? And at the same time, do you feel that their ecosystem is truly growing, right? And so far, how has their price been like in terms of in the market, right? And I'm sure that every new coin is having a proof of stake mechanism or a DPoS or delegated proof of stake. Are you enjoying collecting the tokens, right? And at the same time, we have to ask ourselves, how can we participate? How can we truly be involved? Not just buying and holding the tokens, right? Because sometimes when you buy and hold the token, there's only so much that you can understand, especially when you're not a developer or you're not in business development in that company. You are really trying very hard. So eventually I told myself that I don't want to try hard trying to understand the technical aspects. I'm not a developer. I'm from banking and finance. So I stick to industries that I can play a part. I either raise money for them or I am someone who is interested in developing businesses or partnerships for them. You see, I play a part in their ecosystem. I don't just buy and hold the tokens and hope for the best. See, that way, when I'm participating, I'm actually building, I'm actually involved, right, in the development process. That way, I can not only have skin in the game, I get to understand each business on a deeper level. So if you're someone who can do that, I think it will be much better. All right, so the next one would be Herbert. Hey man, Golden Cross on BTC today. Right. So it's when you say Golden Cross, do you mean that the 50-day is crossing the 200-day on the daily? Because from what I understand, right, the 50-day has to cross the 200-day on the daily, then it makes the most sense. And yes, that could be a very good positive play. I always believe that if the moving averages, especially significant ones, cross the longer term moving averages, it's always a bullish sign. But could that turn very quickly? Don't look at the short term 1 hour. Don't look at the 1 hour, 4 hours, or 12 hours. Look at the 1 day. It will be better. It will be more accurate because that shows that it's really moving upwards. The next one is I need to research on the Golden Cross. Yeah, I mean, hey, Golden Cross is just very simple. The Golden Cross can either be the moving average crossing downwards. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have the 50-day. Damn it. Let's just go to the charts. Man. Okay, let's see. Where's my Coinergy? Oh, wow. Okay, Coinergy. Okay. For you guys, the Golden Cross, okay, just explain a little bit. Okay, this is just very, very simple. It's nothing too complex. Let me just get rid of this. Let's go to the 1 day. Okay. All right, so this is the 1 day. All right, let me just let's pull this out. Okay, so what happens or whatever that people are asking is just very simple, right? You click on the EMA cross. Okay, and what I like to do is we just emphasize the lines, and then the cross, let's make it a golden cross. Okay, so the short term, let's put 50. Let's put 50, and then the 200 is the long. Okay. All right, so this is how it works. So as you can see, what Herbert was trying to say is that there's going to be a cross here. Let me try to find out. Can you see, guys? Can you see these crosses here? Okay, can you see these crosses? So what happens is that the 50-day, right? The 50-day moving average. Okay, so the longer moving average is the 200 days. That means in the past 200 sessions, all right, which is very long. This is the price trend. Okay, the price trend, the price movement. So the 50-day, once it crosses, so what Herbert is saying is that once it crosses, it could be a positive. But does that always remain true? No, it's not true. You see, as you can see, the 50-day actually crossed the 200-day over here, but it didn't really break out. What happened is it went up and then it went down. So right now, for the very first time in a very long while, the 50-day is actually going to cross the 200. So that's what he means. But could it very well just do a dip? It could as well. But it's a good positive sign that at least for once in a very long while, so let's see, from 17th of May 2018, after almost close to 1 year, the golden cross is appearing. So that's what he means. All right, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Yep. So, hey, hello, Royal Royal Button. Very nice name, by the way. It sounds very medieval. From Dubai. Yeah, man. I mean, I've been to Dubai twice. Very nice country. It's just a little bit on the dry heat side, but lovely country. I love the smell, right? I love the perfume that you guys use, especially the cologne. Sorry, the cologne. It's very interesting. It's a good play if the price is close to the cross, but BTC price action is way above it, so it's not too bullish. Yeah, okay. Right now, you also have to take note on the volume. How sustainable is the volume at this point of time? Okay, I only look at two things, right? And you look at the volume and how sustainable it is. Unfortunately for crypto, right, due to the lack of liquidity, the volume cannot always be the main thing that we look at. So whenever the volume, it could just suddenly come in. Okay, just let me give you an example of today. Okay, just look at it. Okay, so if you were someone who was trading Bitcoin on a technical standpoint, right? You look at the volume. Okay, now I'm gonna pull up another indicator. Okay, I can't see from the histogram. Okay, so initially, right, this was dipping. Okay, can you see that the volume was dipping from the OBV, right? So since the volume was dipping on the OBV, you would already start building up shorts already. Okay, you already start building up shorts, but unfortunately, just yesterday alone, the volume was so significant that it actually climbed back upwards, and if you were probably in a short, you're already losing money at the moment, right? When I mean short, means people who are on leverage, whether you're on 3x, 5x, 10x or whatever, okay? But I'm just saying that due to the lack of liquidity, and yes, this includes Bitcoin, right? You can't really fill up, right, orders of 10, 20,000 easily. Okay, it's not that easy to fill. Bitcoin, you still have a chance. But any other cryptocurrency, right? Try filling up 10,000 US dollars worth of a particular coin. Please show me how do you do that, and it fills up instantly. You cannot do that. What happens is that if you put in just $10,000 worth of a particular cryptocurrency, it's gonna take a while. And not only that, there will be bots that will suddenly start putting orders in front of you. It's very, very frustrating. So these days, I'm very, very selective in the cryptocurrencies that I invest in, because I need to make sure that they have enough volume so that it can fill up my order. Simple as that. And I'm having trouble on quite a number of cryptocurrencies, and we're talking about the ones that have the highest volume, and I still have issues. And I don't do shiny ball object chasing. Okay? Alright, so yep, good night to you, King of Fun. Have some fun. See you soon. Okay, so send you some coins. The thing is, I don't have any random coins lying around, but yeah, I mean, if I do, I'll definitely send some to you, man. Lagging indicator, but it's a good sign. Maybe usher in the golden bull run. Yeah, man, Herbert, who knows? So guys, like I said, I'm always open to questions, and once again, I'm very, very sorry that I'm not streaming as often. I will start streaming a little bit more often, but I feel that if I don't have any solid content to bring to you, I'd rather not talk about it, because I think Tone Vase is covering the BTC technical analysis all the time, and he brings in all the most prominent individuals to talk about crypto and technical analysis. He has Van Zandt, he has Willy Woo, and you know, it's the whole technical analysis thing is way overplayed. I'd rather look at the investing standpoint and where is the macro trend, and that part is a little bit more it's definitely slower to build up content and information about it. But when I do have something, I will definitely want to bring it to your attention, and that's how this channel is going to be like going forward. But like I said, I'm always open to suggestions. I mean, like for example, today I was talking about Iris and Cosmo, right? Obviously no one is talking about it, but there's a lot of hype around it, right? So since there's a lot of hype around it, and I see that there's a significant it's gonna be very important in the future, right? This interoperability and inter blockchain is going to be important next time. I definitely want to be involved, right? So yeah, these are the things that we can talk about. But anyway, guys, always manage your risk well, and like I said, you want to stay invested in this space. I don't see this space going anywhere, but you have to be really cautious about what you're investing in. And at the same time, guys, CG Protégé Pro is open for subscription. If you guys are definitely curious about the space, you want to build a portfolio around it, build a portfolio in crypto, you can join us for just $80 per month. You're getting all the right information coming from us, because we have been in the space for more than 3 years. We are working very closely with quite a number of blockchain projects, and at the same time we are looking at it from the bottom up and the top down as well, so macro and micro level. All these things I always document them, and at the same time I put up my thoughts in CG Protégé Pro. And of course, it will help the channel out a lot if you gave this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you guys, and we'll see you in the next live stream.